Da-na-na, I wanna catch the Pokemon and put them in my bag. Da-na-na-na. These Pokemon don't understand the power of a hat. Burn-na-na. I will travel across the street searching for my mom. She is somewhere I must find where I do not know. Pokemon Black version 1, not 2. I'm gonna review it now in a song. No, I'm done singing just after I hit this note. Okay, I promise I'm done. No more singing. Unless you like it, we can do a musical. I hear that's all the rage these days. I played Pokemon Black. I don't own it. I own the DS 208 in 1, which has all the DS Pokemon games, as well as other hits and classics, such as Mario and Zelda. But I played Pokemon Black, but I played Pokemon White version 2 before I played Pokemon Black or White 1. I don't know why, it just happened that way. But I had been exposed to this iteration, and when I first was around for its inception, I was at the checkout point. I had already been to the register and checked out with my copy of Pokemon Diamond. And I invested so much time into Pokemon Diamond shiny hunting that I burnt out. Did not want to play anymore after that. I came back in the X and Y era, phased out again, circa Sword and Shield and Scarlet Violet. And now I'm back, and I just kind of play the classics, but I had always heard about, wow, Pokemon Black and White are the real hidden gems. Real return to form for the series. And so I wanted to test it out. I had begun a file approximately a year or two ago, and I was going through it, and I got kind of stuck, surprisingly, or bored. Maybe it was both. And I just put it down. But I picked it up again recently to finish my file. I was at 6 badges, approximately 12 hours at that point, and I had kind of just headed home for the credits and for the Elite Four, and I don't regret it. I love the Pokemon series, and there are definitely traits to Pokemon Black and White that are worthy of note. I think they're really cool. So let's take a look at a few of them. Theater mode, beautiful. Okay. So I just want to tell you to subscribe first off. Welcome if you're new here. And if you're not, well, go ahead and stay subscribed. I think that this game is technically impressive. Now, they all are on their respective platforms. I think they all kind of push the boundary of what can be done in a Pokemon game. I think just as you're watching this, things that stand out to me are really animations in the overworld and within the battle. So just things like the wind moving or the entrance into a battle. I think back to when it was just the screen flicker at you. And right now, it's kind of a more natural effect. And I think that it's done really well, and it gives a lot of life to Pokemon, which is kind of the point, right? Is to make these guys seem like they could be your pals. And even seeing them move in the battlefield, there's never a stationary moment. The Pokemon are just kind of twiddling their heads, and even when they do their moves, they do like their little hop or whatever. It's really cool. I think it's impressive. And that's comes with the territory, but I think when you think about like, oh, Pokemon Diamond was on the same platform and there were stationary backgrounds or stationary Pokemon, that's pretty impressive. So how much can I talk this up? Not much more. Don't worry. I think that this Gen 2, you look at the screen here and you see like the Poke Gear elements. They call it the C Gear. I don't know what the C is for, but it is called Sea Gear, and you can see the time, which is actually, it takes you into the experience. You see a battery. So I don't know. There's something that's kind of novel about this system, but it was built with Wi-Fi in mind. So that kind of brings me into what I consider are either gimmicks or downgrades. And I think that the constant reminder of, oh, Wi-Fi connectivity has aged this game. Because, I mean, sure, you could play with the Wi-Fi capabilities and go catch up with somebody who you're close with who also plays this game. But realistically, who of us are doing that? Not me. I think we're all playing the modern Pokemons for that. And then I think, too, about, what is the signature gimmick of this game? I think since Gen 2, they've really done gimmicks a lot. Berries, I think, are gimmicks. Honey on trees, gimmick. In this one, it's seasons. I think it's a gimmick. I think it's not something that is super useful in the grand scheme of things, but they also kind of push it in your face. Let's skip around a little bit, too, because I want to kind of get into lore and story, which, I mean, shouldn't really matter in Pokemon games, but ends up mattering because it's so in your face. So here you see two rivals. It's Bianca and someone else. I don't even know the guy's name. And they're not even the main rival. I think of like Pokemon Gold, and the rival was just the prick who stole a Pokemon from the lab. And, that guy's cool. His name is N in this one. But they kind of, these are like two Wallies. Like, I don't care about Wally, but Wally's kind of a joke, and he's like around a little bit. And you fight his dad or something. I don't know. But Wally is kind of just there. In this one, these characters, I guess, are like your teammates or something, but you don't really, like, you do some battles with them, but I don't think they're cool. Their coolness factor is very low. So I don't have any particular stock in some of the story elements in this game. Now, when it comes to the rival team, they are very much a factor in this one. And this is where I think that Pokemon Black and White goes off the rails in a little bit, in a cool way, but in a way that I think is also maybe too ambitious for what the game is. And, while I'm looking around for a clip of that, I think I can kind of talk generally about it. But their whole concept is to free or liberate the Pokemon from the trainers. And they encourage you to liberate Pokemon. And then you see like NPCs in the game like, maybe I should liberate my Pokemon. Maybe they are all powerful and whatnot. This is the main rival here, N, and he's kind of like an envoy for that group, and he's very mysterious. And I think that it's really ambitious, and that's admirable for a Pokemon game. I just don't think it's ever like realized in a way where it makes you feel the gravity of that decision. For instance, like if their whole premise is liberating your Pokemon, I think they should just free your Pokemon at some point, and you're like, what the hell? Why did they get rid of my team? But they don't do anything like that, so that whole premise is never totally felt to me. I just think that would have been like pretty wild, let's say. So to me, that's kind of a gimmick in and of itself is how they incorporate story into this game. But I mean, even what you saw there, you saw a cutscene. Cutscenes in this game, man, they're really impressive. There are a ton. I think of some of the ones with the legendaries and whatnot. And I do have some more notes here, but I think we can kind of now take it to where we need to, which is the Pokemon themselves. So another key change that I hear a lot of people talk about when it comes to Pokemon Black and White is, this game makes you play the game with only the new Pokemon. And I did look, and there's almost 200, if not more. And that's really cool. They made 200 Pokemon. And, I had in my mind, well, it's like 50-50. It's good and bad. And as I was making my list of ones that stand out to me, I ended up with more good than bad. So that is a good sign that there are some that I think are novel and remarkable in some way. And I'll start with the good ones. I think that, I'll start with the good ones. So I think the ones that really kind of are emblematic for this game are going to be Excadrill. He's like a drill ground steel type with he's like a Dig Dug type of character. I don't know. It's pretty cool. I think Throw and Sock are pretty cool. They're like polygon fighters, and I guess they're going for like the Hitmonchan, Hitmonlee thing. Pretty cool. Darmanitan is another popular one. I think for competitive purposes, he's pretty unique because of his ability, and which is that his moves are like powered up by like a third if they have a secondary effect. So that makes him like super OP with a lot of his moves. Scraggy and Scrafty. I think these guys have hustle. I think that's a new ability in this game, and it's like every Pokemon that you faint, you boost an attack, or maybe that's Moxie. I think it's called Moxie, and so that's a super awesome ability. Like that makes a lot of Pokemon from Gen 5 OP. Not them only. Also, the next one I'll say Crocodile. Crocodile is your signature desert like sand Pokemon, and he also can have Moxie. Mine had Intimidate, whatever. I like both abilities, but a Moxie Krokorok or Crocodile is pretty awesome. Zoroark, maybe one of my favorite Pokemon in general, but also of a dark type. I'm a fan of dark types, and I think that Zoroark accomplishes what Kecleon maybe sought out to do in Gen 3, which was to imitate or camouflage as other Pokemon. And so there's a key moment in one of the battles where you're actually fighting a Zoroark and you wouldn't know it. And I think that's pretty awesome. There's a lot of cool ways to incorporate that into a team. You never know which one's the Zoroark, and then it has dark powers. Haxorus, a lot of great dragon types. This is the last vestige for strong dragons, sadly, because Gen X and Y will introduce the fairy type, which nerfs dragons completely, and it sucks. But I love dragon types. That's another favorite of mine. Haxorus is a really cool one. I think it's just straight dragon. Another one is Hydreigon, which is like the Hydra from Greek mythology, multiple heads. You got to cut off the heads. And that one's a dark dragon type. And then you also have your legendary dragons. I think it's Reshiram, and I forget the name of the other one. But those guys are also really cool. They have like interesting typings. It's like electric dragon, and I forget what the other one is. But pretty neat. And then as far as starters go, what is it? Snivy, Oshawott, and Tepig. Okay, Tepig is kind of making the rounds right now because of Legends X, Y, or AZ, or Alpha Beta. But I don't know. To me, they're not remarkable. I did play with the Emboar as my main, and I kind of just leveled him up all the way. Everybody else was kind of a backup, and he carried me through a lot of the game. But a firefighting type, we've had that, I think, how many times now? We had Blaziken, and we have another one in Gen 4. Infernape was another firefighting type. So it's 3 back-to-back firefighting types. Just, it's kind of tired out by this point. So it's what it is. And then Snivy into Serpentine is what is that? Is it grass? I'm not sure. And then Oshawott into Samurott. I like Samurott in Legends Arceus, but I don't really know the form in this one so well. It looks like a sea lion or something. We already have a seal. Lovely Pokemon. Not by my calculations, but people do like seal. Whatever. The starters are okay. I don't think they're good or bad. I just think they're there. They are what they are, and you can make good use of whichever one you pick. And you know, I do like grass types. I just think that they suck competitively, so I don't really mess with grass types most of the time. But I would be open to going the Snivy route to make things harder for myself. And then as far as kind of like some of the signature stinkers, we have Trubbish and Garbodor. Garbage Door. I'm not sure. It's bad. They're really bad. These have to be like a knock, like, or a nod to all the criticism about Pokemon becoming lazier over time because they're literal garbage Pokemon. And the irony is they're actually pretty competitive, but I don't use them. Poison is another one that kind of gets screwed until next gen, and then it's more competitive. But for now, Poison is not it. Cryogonal, it's a snowflake. Didn't care. We have your signature boring Pokemon, which are Lillipup and Patrat. And, you know, I think one thing a lot of people do is they go, oh, it's really cool because this game forces you to only see the new Pokemon, so it's always exciting. Well, I feel like they also start to become tired over time in the same way that Rattata and Pidgey did in the first few gens anyway. Because you were always tired of seeing them like halfway through your route. I didn't need to see another Lillipup. I didn't need to see another Patrat. What is a Patrat? Patrat is a knockoff Sentret. I don't care. They're not good Pokemon in my mind. I'm sure that they're usable in some way. The full evolution of the Lillipup line, it does look to be pretty useful. Normal ground, but again, normal typing unless it's Snorlax, I'm good. Or a normal flying type, I'll go with those sometimes. Maybe my Fearow, but to me, the beauty of Gen 1's Pokemon is like they're so classic anyway. I didn't care about running into a Pidgey because I love Pidgey. I didn't care about Rattata because, okay, well, at least it's still kind of a threat, when it becomes Raticate and has Super Fang. So I never get tired of seeing Gen 1s throughout the game anyway, and I was beginning to miss having some of them on my team. Although the benefit is it did push me out of my comfort zone, got me to use new Pokemon. Last one is Stunfisk. Is your signature Dunsparce type, kind of just who cares. Okay, so overall on Pokemon Black and White, I will say a maybe one of the last impressive Pokemon games. I don't think X and Y were necessarily unimpressive. I do think Mega Evolutions has its place, and I do think that the Wi-Fi connectivity was a thing at its time. I used it a lot. I did a lot of battles. I did a lot of trading, but and that was impressive for what it was. But I don't know how much those push the boundary in terms of like a single player adventure. Okay, maybe X and Y is one of the last impressive ones. And I think people will argue for Alolan Sun and Moon. I haven't played those yet, so I could be wrong. I could be just totally wrong right now. But I do think Black and White kind of pushes the envelope in a lot of new ways and creative ways when it comes to Pokemon selection, when it comes to abilities, when it comes to visual presentation, even things like cutscenes and storyline. It's definitely one of the last ones with like recognizably well thought out story. Not to say it's like a masterpiece, but it's well thought out. After like this, I really don't. I don't care as much about the stories in Pokemon. And I would replay this, but I probably would play White 2 or Black 2 after this. And I haven't dabbled in post game yet, so if that's something you care about, I can make a video on that, and I can dabble in that. But I would need to know if that's something you care about, because otherwise I'm probably not going to do it. But it was a good time, and I'm glad I finished my file. Have you played Pokemon Black and White? What's your experience? Thanks, everybody. That's it for me, Majora T. You can stay tuned. I'll let you know the games beat coming up, and we'll have more videos on those to come. Toodles.